Tonight, a deadly crash involving two large trucks.
One of which had collided with another in the rear of that commercial motor vehicle,
shutting down part of the 401 west of Kitchener. The investigation and the impact on the morning drive. The deadline and the disappointment.
The program ends today, and we think it was pretty successful in Guelph, and we're sorry to see it go.
One day before Ontario's speed camera ban clicks in, what can drivers expect to see when they're offline? Plus, a criminal trial for a Kitchener Justice of the Peace over after 2 days. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with another deadly collision in southern Ontario. A truck driver was killed early this morning in a crash that involved two transports along the 401 west of Kitchener. As CTV's Ashley Bacon reports, the tragic crash shut down a portion of Canada's busiest highway.
Traffic on the early morning commute sitting at a standstill after a fatal collision on the 401 just west of Ayr, involving two large trucks.
both traveling eastbound, one of which had collided with another in the rear of that commercial motor vehicle.
Ontario Provincial Police Constable Matthew Foster says the driver of that second truck behind the other one was a 26-year-old man from Brampton who died at the scene.
I'm sad to say that the driver of that CMV was pronounced deceased at scene. The driver of the other commercial motor vehicle was uninjured. Our thoughts are with the deceased's family and loved ones at this time.
This was the scene along roadways parallel with the 401, many drivers taking a detour to get around the tragic scene, while the eastbound lanes were closed for the investigation. While the cause of this crash is not clear, police are reminding people in a week where a number of serious collisions have taken place that it's crucial to be aware of your surroundings.
We want to remain vigilant while traveling on the roads, that road conditions can change very quickly. Just give yourself some extra time, and we just want everyone to drive safely and get home to wherever they're going.
Meanwhile, investigators poring over the scene, collecting evidence. And as police continue the investigation into the cause of the collision, they're asking any drivers who are passing through the area at the time for dash cam footage. Ashley Bacon, CTV News.
And an update tonight, that section of Highway 401, which is near Oxford Road 29, the eastbound lanes that were closed for that investigation, that's open again tonight. But on another traffic note, the westbound 401, just west of Kitchener, from Homer Watson Boulevard to Roseville Road, is going to be closed from 7 tonight until 6 tomorrow morning, and that's for a scheduled roadwork shutdown. It has been more than 48 hours since 3 teens were killed in a crash near Hanover. The ripple effects of the tragedy are being felt across the region. CTV's Scott Miller has more.
Ann Pilon Somerville is encouraging Gray and Bruce residents to light a candle each night for the 4 teens involved in Tuesday's horrific crash near Hanover.
I work with 2 of the parents that are involved in the accident, and yeah, I couldn't imagine. As a new parent, I honest to God couldn't imagine what they're going through.
3 teens, all students at John Diefenbaker Senior School in Hanover, died after being ejected from a vehicle that police say rolled several times after leaving a rural side road between Hanover and Durham on Tuesday. The 4th teen involved survived and is listed in critical but stable condition, according to the West Grey Police, who are investigating what led to Tuesday's noon-hour crash. The crash is the second such tragedy in the past 6 months involving students from Grey and Bruce County.
Well, I certainly didn't believe it, because it just seemed completely unbelievable that such a tragedy would revisit the region.
This May, 4 students and a teacher from Walkerton District Community School were killed near London, returning from a school softball tournament.
As mayor, it was extremely heartbreaking, devastating. I had a lot of trouble myself getting through things because of just the huge impact on our town.
Peabody has offered whatever support he can to the communities of Hanover and West Grey, who are more directly impacted by the most recent tragedy.
It was like over 300 people last night.
For new mom Pilon Somerville, this all brings back memories of her brother's sudden death many years ago and how the community she lived in supported their family. She plans to sell special JDSS Strong candles and donate proceeds to the families of the crash victims who she knows through work. So far, hundreds of people have joined her in her nightly candle lighting for those involved in the tragedy.
Just remember and hope for the kids that were lost and the one that's still fighting.
Near Hanover, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Ontario's ban on speed cameras kicks in tomorrow, and yet it's still not clear exactly when the provincial-led measures to replace them are going to be in place. CTV's Jeff Pickle joining us live now from Kitchener, from one of the zones where those cameras are. Okay, so Jeff, the camera's going off tomorrow, but what do we know about what comes next?
Well, Tony, today the province announced a fund of over $200 million for municipalities to put in traffic calming measures like speed bumps and roundabouts, but not exactly sure when that money will be dished out or how much each municipality will get. In the meantime, one of the most effective tools for keeping speeds down will soon be offline. The final flashes of speed cameras in Ontario.
No infractions will be issued starting tomorrow, November the 14th.
The provincial government's Bill 56 coming into effect tomorrow after weeks of Ontario Premier Doug Ford attacking the cameras as a money grab.
It's out of control right now, and things have changed.
For the city of Guelph, the cameras were a success.
We started with 4 cameras that rotated through our school zones. We expanded to 12 cameras this August, and the program ends today, and we think it was pretty successful in Guelph, and we're sorry to see it go.
According to Anderson, the evidence is clear.
When it started in August 2023, only 1 out of every 3 vehicles drivers going through a school zone was at the posted speed limit, so 33%. And by September of this year, we had that up to 80%. So 4 out of every 5 drivers were now complying with the speed limits in school zones.
Today, the province announced the Road Safety Initiatives Fund, $210 million to be divvied out to cities across Ontario. They say the fund will promote safety without using speed cameras that make life more expensive for drivers and taxpayers. The province says the fund will instead provide financial support for proven road safety measures that do not raise costs for drivers. Those include speed bumps, raised crosswalks and roundabouts, as well as high visibility signage and increased police enforcement in school zones and community safety zones.
So we're quite eager to be knocking on the Premier's door to be eligible for some of that money to help make our roads safer here in Guelph.
The funding a welcome sign, but concerns that speed bumps and roundabouts won't help in every situation.
They're not super great on like 4-lane arterial roads that see a lot of traffic, a lot of emergency response. So we were kind of slowly setting up the speed cameras to go in those areas because it's difficult to traffic calm a 4-lane arterial road.
The City of Guelph says anyone who receives a ticket with a timestamp from today or any earlier still has to pay or dispute the ticket. And Tony, as mentioned, I'm on Weber Street near Sunnyside Public School, and this is somewhat of the return to the scene of the crime for myself, at least, because I was dinged by this very camera here not that long ago, and I can tell you, standing here by this road, a few more people will be getting a slip in the mail, timestamp November 13th, because as of tonight, it will be no more, but a few more slips likely going out in the mail. Now, the region of Waterloo had nothing to say on the matter for today, but they said they will have more to say later on, and again, a couple hours later, and these cameras will be offline for good. Tony?
Okay, Jeff Pickle with certainly some added insight there as well. Appreciate that. Jeff, thank you. And time now for a first check on the weather as we head over to Alex Pinto in studio for all the latest. Gotta say, I was up a little bit earlier than I normally am today. It was lovely to go out into the living room and open those curtains and see some see some sun shine in.
You get tongue-tied. Easy to do.
Yeah.
It is, though. It was really nice to get a little bit of vitamin D. Ian and I were even chatting in the 5. It's funny because it depends where you were. When we went out for our dog walk this morning, we saw some sun, cloud cover, snow, and then rain.
Everything.
We got a little bit of everything today. So again, depending where you're joining us from, you may have also enjoyed some of that weather. Maybe you just enjoyed a bit of sunshine. But it was nice to see that on this November day. But looking at our satellite and radar map, we are still seeing a little bit of that cloud cover sticking with us. Hopefully you had a chance to get out and enjoy the beautiful sunset that we saw shortly before 5 o'clock this evening as well. Some areas a little bit further north might be experiencing some scattered shower activity there this hour as well. Now the temperature continuing to drop as the hour continues. 4 degrees right now here in Kitchener-Waterloo. We did hit a high of 6 officially today. That was set at about 11 o'clock this morning. 2 in Mount Forest, so slightly chillier. 2 in the city of Barrie this hour as well. But many of us sitting in that single-digit area, pretty close to seasonal at this point. But some more sun could be on the way. And then, of course, a little bit more wet weather. I'll tell you when in your full forecast a little later. Tony.
We'll talk about it all shortly. Thanks, Alex. After 2 days of intense submissions and emotional testimony, a Kitchener Justice of the Peace will have to wait to learn his fate. 74-year-old James Ziegler has been charged with forcible confinement and criminal harassment over an April 2024 confrontation involving his colleague at the Waterloo Region Courthouse. CTV's Alexandra Hollick reports.
The alleged victim's reliability was a point of contention during today's submissions in a downtown Kitchener courtroom. The defense making a case for Justice of the Peace James Ziegler to be acquitted due to lack of evidence. The 74-year-old has been charged with forcible confinement and criminal harassment in an April 2024 confrontation with a colleague at the Waterloo Region Courthouse. CTV News is not identifying the female complainant, whose name matches that of a presiding Justice of the Peace. On Wednesday, court heard emotional testimony from the woman who described the, quote, terrifying incident in her office on April 19, 2024, alleging an agitated Ziegler came in, slammed the door, and professed his love and desire for her, to which she refused. The complainant also testified she felt like she had no way out. This morning, defense counsel Brennan Smart argued there was no allegation of any physical restraint in the interaction, nor an attempt to leave. There's no way to find that he went into the chambers for the purpose of harassing the alleged victim, Smart argued. He was propositioning her. He wasn't trying to put her into fear. However, the defense admitted the situation could be classified as a different matter. It's workplace sexual harassment, Smart conceded. I take no issue if that's what the Crown was trying to prove. Justice John Oliver using that concession in his decision to dismiss the defense counsel's motions. The defense counsel's concession that His Worship Ziegler's conduct was workplace sexual harassment on its face establishes harassment, Oliver said. Ziegler was expected to take the stand today, but after Justice John Oliver's decision, the defense did not call up their client or submit any additional evidence. In its closing submissions, the Crown said the two charges go hand in hand. If you don't find confinement, I don't think you're going to find criminal harassment, said prosecutor Scott Patterson. Meanwhile, Smart argued the confrontation wasn't criminal, but rather objectionable. There's a lot of room between bad behavior and criminal behavior, Smart said, and there are forums that deal with bad behavior in the workplace, and that's where this matter should be settled. Ziegler is set to learn his fate next month. For now, he remains unassigned from judicial duties. Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Kitchener.
A warning, this story has video that some may find disturbing. The penalty hearing for a Guelph police constable who admitted to assaulting a teen handcuffed to a hospital bed resumed today. A forensic psychiatrist who reviewed Corey MacArthur's records testified while there's a lot to learn about wellness in policing, PTSD is one of the most exaggerated illnesses in psychiatry. CTV's Spencer Turcott has more.
A penalty hearing resumed on Thursday for Guelph Police Officer Corey MacArthur, who admitted to assaulting a teenager that was handcuffed to a hospital bed in 2016. Dr. Peter Collins returned to the witness stand for cross-examination. He's a forensic psychiatrist who was not allowed to assess MacArthur, but did do a file review of all the documentation in this case. MacArthur has pleaded guilty to discreditable conduct in relation to the assault captured on security cameras at Guelph General Hospital. MacArthur was kneed by a teen, handcuffed to a hospital bed. He responded with an elbow strike that left the teen injured. MacArthur has blamed his actions at the hospital on undiagnosed, untreated PTSD that he says was caused by the 2013 death of his partner, Jennifer Kovac, who was responding to his call for backup when her cruiser crashed. Madeline Ross, who is an associate standing in for MacArthur's counsel, began her line of questioning with whether Collins recalled specific exhibits referenced in his 2024 review. Certain documents he remembered, others not. But lawyer Jessica Barrow, representing the Guelph Police Service, objected the line of questioning because she says it was unfair to answer detailed questions about hundreds of documents. Collins told the hearing that if any file numbers are missed or reversed in his report, it's due to his arithmetic dyslexia. I'm probably the only physician in Canada that stopped math at grade 9. They kicked me out. Questioning then shifted to Collins' understanding of PTSD and how it has evolved over time. Collins testified it is one of the most exaggerated illnesses we see in psychiatry, later adding there's not a connection between violence and PTSD. When legal counsel for MacArthur asked Collins whether he agreed that PTSD is more prevalent in first responders than the general population, Collins agreed. He said there is a lot to learn when it comes to wellness and policing, but later followed that up with, we're finding a lot of people are claiming to have PTSD in law enforcement who do not, saying that in some cases PTSD is being used as a get-out-of-jail card. Guelph police want to dismiss MacArthur, but he has argued he should be allowed to remain with the service. After the first penalty hearing, MacArthur was told to resign or be fired, but he successfully appealed the decision, leading to this second hearing, which is scheduled to resume tomorrow. Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Guelph.
Does every penny really count, even though they're out of production? Coming up, CTV's Heather Centerin hears from local coin collectors on the value of the currency that got cut as the U.S. also drops the 1-cent coin.
I'm Karis Mapp. A local beer producer is being recognized for their water conservation efforts. How Carlsberg Canada is brewing today for a better tomorrow and making strides to help the environment. That story is just ahead.
Well, clouds expected to clear out as we get into the later evening, overnight hours, when we could see a bit more sunshine and also some more wet weather coming up in your full forecast a little later.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVKitchener.ca, your home for news. You see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A local brewery is being recognized for making every drop count. Carlsberg Canada, formerly known as Waterloo Brewing, is making strides in reducing water use, earning them Waterloo Region's Water Efficiency Award of Excellence. CTV's Karis Mapp joining us now with more details. Karis, give us some context about what earned them this award.
Tony, the company's environmental efforts were praised because they saved more than 100,000 cubic meters of water from 2023 to 2024. Now, to put that into perspective, that's how much it would take to fill roughly 40 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
We're extremely proud because it relates so much to what we want to do.
Carlsberg Canada, formerly known as Waterloo Brewing, is the recipient of Waterloo Region's Water Efficiency Excellence Award. The beer maker received the recognition at a regional council meeting in October for meeting the region's criteria.
Takes the initiative to research water savings programs and makes an investment to implement a solution that achieves significant water savings.
After being the region's 4th highest water user in 2023, Carlsberg's efforts are having a big impact.
bringing down the water consumption with 100,000 cubic meters from 23 to 2024.
It's about the equivalent, I believe, of like 450 residential homes, their annual consumption of water. So it's a huge amount that we are very proud of.
All with the help of a new database system.
We're actually able to track real-time what our processes were doing, what they were consuming in terms of water, electricity, gas. That allowed us to be able to identify either issues in our processes or find better opportunities to continuously improve them.
A major area of reduction was the company's pasteurization process.
Beer, when it's packaged, in order to make sure there's no microbiological issues with it, we actually heat it up to a temperature and then cool it back down just to make sure it's totally safe for the consumer. And that is a very water-intensive process.
Brewing today while keeping the future in mind.
The region is the largest community in Canada to rely primarily on groundwater as its drinking water source. So what that means is there's not that much, but every drop counts.
More than 90% of a beer consists of water. That's why it's so important to be aware on how we're actually using the raw materials that we use in the production of beers.
The region now encouraging other local businesses to be mindful of their water use.
Carlsberg sets a great example for the community because when they invest and make these changes, it helps the whole community. The whole community's water supply is protected.
The annual award is part of the region's water efficiency program. Qualifying businesses could receive as much as $10,000 to help decrease their water usage. Tony.
Karis Mapp reporting. Thank you. Bike advocates were staging a protest today over the Ford government's plans to fast-track a bill that would block cities from building some bike lanes. Advocates gathered this morning at Spadina and Bloor before riding to Queen's Park. Bill 60 includes measures that would bar municipalities from building bike lanes that would involve roads being reconfigured, a common step of adding bike lanes to a street. The Toronto protest was just one part of a broader day of action held in cities across Ontario. Earlier this week, Canada lost its measles elimination status, which some health experts have described as a wake-up call. The Guelph area's top doctor says a lack of access to primary care providers isn't helping.
In terms of the family doctor crisis in particular, I think that this is likely to be another component that would improve our vaccination rates. So for people who are hesitant about vaccines broadly, not just the measles vaccine, but if you have questions and you don't have anybody that you trust that you can ask those questions to, then you may go to untrustworthy sites, friends or relatives who may be well-meaning but don't give you correct information, or perhaps on the internet where there's a whole bunch of information that's just not correct. So I do think not having a family physician or a primary care provider to answer those questions is a part of the puzzle that, when we fix that, will also help our vaccination rates.
You can see the full conversation with Leanne Evans and Dr. Nicola Mercer over at ctvnewskitchener.ca. With respiratory virus season upon us, Health Canada has just approved the vaccine against RSV for a new group of Canadians. But as CTV's Pauline Chan tells us, they're still working on exactly who will be covered.
Jenna Ketty is 21, in university, and trying to live her best life while dealing with fibromyalgia and a rare form of arthritis.
You deal with a lot of stiffness and pain, and I am on a number of medications.
She's had several bouts of pneumonia over the years and even went into septic shock one time, and she worries about RSV every fall. So news of the expanded coverage for the Abrysvo vaccine is welcome.
It means a lot to folks like myself who, I live with immunocompromising conditions, so if I do get RSV, it's quite scary.
The Ontario government currently funds the vaccine for all adults aged 75 and older. The vaccine is also funded for all adults aged 60 and over who are living in a chronic care facility.
RSV immunizations are also covered for infants and pregnant women at 32 to 36 weeks gestation to protect their newborns. But Dr. Sean Edwards says the details of who will get coverage for the $240 shot in the 18 to 59 age group are unclear.
They may be getting cancer treatments. They may be on immunosuppressant drugs for chronic illnesses such as psoriasis. So at this point, we don't exactly know who in that 18 to 59 age category is best to immunize.
What he says is clear is that the vaccine can make a huge difference.
The vaccine was about 80% effect, 80 to 90% effective over 2 years at preventing hospitalization and critical illness such as ICU admission.
Right now, young adults with complex conditions like Jenna can talk with their doctor about getting a prescription for Abrysvo.
It's a somewhat nuanced discussion for younger adults, age 18 to 59, because we don't have specific NACI recommendations on this group yet. So it really would depend on the severity of their illness and the level of their immunosuppression.
It won't be covered by the province yet, but many private insurance plans will cover the cost. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Looking toward uptown Waterloo from Midtown KW through our tower camera tonight. And what you can't really get a handle on just by this shot is the temperature. And of course, it was a little bit milder out today, but we did have a wind to contend with as well as we enjoyed some sunshine. Alex is back in just a couple of moments to tell us how the rest of the forecast is shaping up. And also ahead, the new push to save an auto manufacturing plant in Ingersoll. But next, why hundreds of hospital patients in Ontario could be moved into their homes to be cared for by private companies. Alex is back with us for a look at the forecast. I don't really know what I think of today. It's hard to form an opinion on the weather lately, but I did like the sun we got. Stepped outside. It was a little chillier than I thought this afternoon. Realized I didn't bring a big enough coat. Should have worn the parka for a walk today, but you just can't get it all in November.
You can't win in November, no. And a little bit of a mixed bag. We were chatting earlier about you got to enjoy a little bit of sun before coming into work. I saw a little bit of everything, a little bit of cloud cover, some sunshine, which was nice to see too, a little bit of snow, and I've got to say those flakes were actually quite big, and then some rain. So a little bit of everything today.
Now, does Kodak miss running around in the snow? Because that on the weekend, that was quite a tease for dogs who love that first fresh round of snow, wasn't it?
He is a fan and just likes to sit outside sometimes and just really soak it in. But as we take a live look from our tower cam over downtown Kitchener, that sun officially setting 4:59 p.m. this afternoon, and overall, I guess fairly comfortable if you've got a nice light jacket on out there as well. And like Tony noted too, yeah, you maybe needed the parka out there earlier today. But when we look at our futurecast for the rest of the evening, any cloud cover that we are seeing out there this hour expected to clear out as we get into the overnight hours. Some areas a little bit further north, though, especially north of Toronto, the GTA, could see a little bit of mixing, possibly some snow. I know the Peterborough area could see some snow a little bit later this evening as well. But then getting into your Friday, clearing out, we should get basically a mix of sun and cloud for us at this point as well. So a little bit of a nice way to wrap up the work and school week before, yes, we could see the system, some more rain headed our way as we look ahead to Saturday. So if you do have any outdoor plans or maybe just want to go for a walk, you want to bring the umbrella and those rain boots with you as well. Okay, so temperature-wise, right across the province, 0 right now in Timmins, Moosonee, 1 in Sudbury. Tonight, -3, though, in Pickle Lake. A little bit chillier up there usually. A bit closer to home, 2 degrees right now in Mount Forest, 7 in Goderich, 2 in London. So many of us here in southern southwestern Ontario still in that single digit, which is pretty close to seasonal. We're currently sitting right now here in the city of Kitchener as well as Hamilton, 4 degrees. We did hit a high today of 6. That was around 11 o'clock or so this morning. So overnight, -1, that is our expected overnight low. Partly cloudy conditions. Again, clearing, winds becoming light. So I know when Tony mentioned too, it was a bit windy out there. If you were outside, it was some wind gusts upwards of 50 kilometers an hour for some areas, so depending on where you might be joining us from. Tomorrow, daytime high, 5 degrees. We should be in for a little bit of sunshine with, again, some mixing in terms of that cloud cover. And yes, we're pretty sitting just about seasonal for this time of year. When we look at our daytime highs, we are slightly above seasonal for our overnight low. Yeah, that sun rising 7:13 in the morning, officially now, and as I mentioned, setting 4:59 p.m. So we are officially in that 4 o'clock territory. So over the next few days, that chance of showers sticking with us for your Saturday. We should be going back up to double digits, which is definitely above seasonal for this time of year. 10 degrees and then hitting about 5 or so for your Sunday. Possibly we could see a little bit of mixing conditions there. For Lambton, Kent and Essex, cloud cover also expected to clear out where you are. A little bit of sunshine in store with a high of 10. Possibly you could be getting to 15 degrees when you look at Saturday and some cloud cover. And for southern Georgian Bay, 30% chance of showers, high of 7, getting to an overnight low of -1 as we look ahead to tomorrow. And then a chance for some showers, even some mixing as we look ahead to the weekend. And here is tonight's Weather Watcher picture, a very curious deer checking out the snow. Karen Allen sending us this shot from Listowel today, and maybe this doe here also wondering why we're seeing some of the snow that we did. And again, some areas seeing maybe a little bit more, but a beautiful, beautiful shot. Karen, thank you so much for sending this and being tonight's Weather Watcher. It's really a magical shot, and a deer just staring right at you, which is incredible.
And I love the word you used, curious,
Yes.
because she does look curious. What's going on here?
Who's taking a picture of
There's snow, and there's someone over there with a camera. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Well, CTV News has learned that Ontario is quietly launching a program that could move hundreds of patients from hospitals to their homes, cared for by private companies. As CTV's John Woodward reports, it's meant to help reduce overcrowding in hospitals.
Dr. Amina Jabbar has a problem in her seniors internal medicine unit just outside Toronto.
You know, at the beginning of fall-ish, with a 30% rate of patients who just can't go home.
Can't leave the unit in the Trillium Health Partners Hospital, meaning there's no room for anyone new. A problem replicated across Ontario hospitals. Government figures say some 5,000 patients are in this situation, half of them waiting for long-term care beds that aren't opening up either. The Ontario government proposing to find a way to care for them at home, according to documents obtained by CTV News, the model called high-intensity bundled home care. A call for proposals for companies who can care for patients who meet a crisis designation, who have mental health or addictions issues, and who are awaiting rehab but can't get a rehab bed. At this stage, the ministry is planning for 570 weekly active patients across Ontario, 145 of those in Toronto. The government would pay a flat fee of $1,500 per week for people with mental health or addictions issues and $5,000 per week for anyone with higher medical needs. Critics worry there's already a worker shortage.
I hear from home care recipients all the time that it is very difficult to find workers. There are missed appointments. There are issues with, of course, the safety that comes with that.
The province's opposition is recalling problems with previous efforts at home care.
People going without catheters. We've all heard those nightmare stories. So I have some very deep concerns.
Dr. Jabbar, hopeful but skeptical it's enough.
It is the supports that we absolutely need at home. But frankly, it's a Band-Aid on a gaping wound.
There's a very short timeline here. The government is asking these companies to submit their proposals in a week, with the expectation their service will be up and running in 4 weeks. The projected cost for the first tranche of patients is expected to be about $11 million. John Woodward, CTV News.
Coming up, another move in the province's school board takeover. The new offices now set up within boards that the province is supervising, and why some are concerned about what's next. The head of the distiller that makes sourpuss says he has no choice but to move production to Canada amid the Canada-U.S. trade war. Minnesota-based Phillips Distilling Company says the brand lost virtually all of its business in Canada after most provinces took American booze off shelves in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. The company says nearly 98% of the 1 million bottles of sourpuss it sold last year were in Canada, amounting to Canadian sales of $23 million. Well, union leaders representing workers at the CAMI assembly plant in Ingersoll say they are prepared to take over the facility. It's the latest union tactic to keep the plant from closing. CTV's Brian Bicknell reports.
In its latest update, the union representing workers at the CAMI Bright Drop electric vehicle plant in Ingersoll says it's prepared to take drastic action in its bid to keep the plant open. Unifor Local 88 plant chair Mike Van Bokel said, "We have made our position with the company crystal clear. Nothing comes in and nothing goes out. If they try to remove even one single thing from the plant, we are ready to take over. We are not kidding."
When you see a union openly opining to the media that they are willing to block entrance into the building, they might know something that you and I don't know right now, and that's concerning.
Mike Tucker is a business and economics professor at Fanshawe College. He says the latest activity between GM and Unifor does not bode well for the plant's future.
Was some concern by the union that they may be removing some of this brand new machinery and equipment and maybe employing it elsewhere. And that's where we start to see stories that they're going to try and make that difficult.
The comments from Unifor follow a meeting in Ingersoll this week involving the union, Mayor Brian Petrie, and Industry Minister Melanie Joly. According to the update, Joly expressed support and a willingness to engage with the issues facing CAMI. Mayor Petrie says he's glad talks are still ongoing, but he has some concerns.
I certainly don't want anything bad to happen in our community or anything like that. So you want to make sure that people are going home safe at night. And so my hope is that the negotiations and the talking provides a good outcome, and it doesn't need to come to anything.
In 2021, the plant was retooled to make EVs. That cost about $2 billion, with $500 million coming from Canadian and Ontario taxpayers. Last month, the GM announced it was stopping production of the Bright Drop due to low customer demand. On October 23rd, Joly gave GM 15 days to provide plans for the next steps for the plant. So far, no updates.
If the plan is no longer to exist here, I think there's a further discussion of, well, let's talk about the investment money that was just put in. In just my opinion, this does not look good. This looks like it could be the end.
Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Okay, it's time to recap our top stories tonight. Leanne Evans in studio with us as we update the situation, Leanne, with a fatal collision on the 401 this morning.
A 26-year-old truck driver was killed early this morning in a crash that involved two transports. It brought traffic to a standstill just west of Ayr as the eastbound lanes of the 401 were closed for a period of time for that investigation. It's unclear what caused the crash, but police are reminding people to be aware of your surroundings. They're also asking anyone with information or dash cam video to get in touch. Ontario's ban on speed cameras kicks in tomorrow. Today, the province said it was committing $210 million to support increased road safety in school zones and other areas. It's still not clear exactly when the measures to replace the cameras will be in place.
And online, Leanne, some good news for a family in Kitchener.
Yeah, they've actually been playing the lottery together weekly as a way to stay close together. Well, now they'll be able to spend even more time together. Maybe a vacation is in store because they won $600,000 through Bigger Spin. To read all about it, you can scan the QR code on the bottom left of your screen to get the story on our CTV News app, or to download the app. You can also go to CTV News Kitchener. .ca. Maybe we need to play the lottery to stay close.
I'm thinking we need a group lotto buy one of these days. We used to do that sometimes around the office when there was a big jackpot.
$600,000 wouldn't be too bad.
I don't know, seeing those smiling faces, I think we're overdue.
We are.
Thanks, Leanne.
Thanks.
The Ford government's establishing what it calls student and family support offices at the 5 school boards that the province has taken over, with other boards expected to create offices by next year. CTV's Siobhan Morris has details on what these offices will do and why some have concerns.
This is your father. They're being called student and family support offices. The thought behind them?
Give students and parents easier access to information from the school board.
Everything from how to print a report card to more complex and contentious issues. The offices will be set up first at 5 boards under supervision, using existing staff who'd been working with trustees. Other boards will have to come up with a personnel plan to stand these offices up by next September.
It's window dressing when the real problems in schools are being ignored and not addressed. Class sizes, special education, mental health.
He's just sort of throwing something at the wall and seeing what's going to stick to try to address what has now been a massive gap in the system that he's created.
Parents have complained that in supervised boards, they can't get problems resolved, concerns heard. So these offices?
It would be helpful if it's with the guarantee that trustees are going to remain, and furthermore, just strengthen the role that trustees have.
Political critics believe these offices prove the Minister of Education intends to eliminate elected trustees.
I haven't brought any advice to Cabinet yet, Siobhan, honestly.
The plan is to map out what's next for school boards by the end of the year. Calandra says whether trustees are part of that or not,
these offices were going to be put in place. I was really, truly flabbergasted to learn that boards just were not monitoring. The trustees themselves were not monitoring the types of calls that they're getting.
This sideline TDSB trustee says at his board anyway, that's just not true.
Often superintendents and staff close the file before we feel things have been taken to the point where folks are satisfied.
Saying he was keeping tabs on hundreds of files. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Just ahead, coin collectors trying to make this make sense. From here on out, a penny saved is more than just a penny earned. It's also a relic of history. We'll tell you why it could be worth more than you think, though, next. After more than 2 centuries, the U.S. is now saying goodbye to the penny. The last one was minted yesterday. For Canada, it's been more than 10 years since penny production stopped, but collectors say if you're still holding on to them, the 1-cent coin could be worth more than you think. CTV's Heather Centerin joins us now with more. Heather, here we were thinking that since, we aren't paying with pennies anymore, that they're worthless.
Well, you know what they say, Tony, a penny saved is a penny earned. In that case, this might be true, but it depends on what year that penny was made.
These are U.S. pennies.
Tom Sandham is a collector.
This is in 1858. This is the first year of the Canadian penny.
He started with coins. Now he's part owner of Colonial Acres Coins in Kitchener.
I started doing this when I was 15, so just kind of got out of control and turned into a job as opposed to a hobby, I guess.
On Wednesday, the U.S. Mint ended penny production. Sandham says it's about time.
My thoughts are I can't believe that they were still making pennies in the last, 20 years or so.
Even though he's around cash and coins often, he says the average person doesn't carry that anymore.
So it was kind of obsolete a long time ago. Of course, Canada stopped in 2012, so it makes sense that they finally decided to stop.
2012 is when production for the Canadian penny stopped, and it was withdrawn from circulation in 2013.
I might have a few old pennies, like I sometimes have a coin collection of just old coins or whatever.
If you're still holding on to the 1-cent piece and want to get rid of it, banks still accept them, but you might want to check the dates on them first. In 1997, the penny's composition changed to a cheaper zinc and steel core. Before that, they were made of copper.
Pure copper. And of course, we've heard on the open market, like copper keeps climbing in price. So a penny actually melts for about 3 cents now. So I buy them for 2 cents and sell them for 3 cents. As just a commodity of copper value.
And if you have a really old penny or even an original from 1858, when the coin was first made, Sandham says, don't bring it to the bank.
What's happened is the collector value, like an 1858 penny in average condition, sells for about $75. So why would you, right? You can get more from someone like me, right?
Some wonder, could the Canadian nickel be next on the chopping block?
It's like there's no use to carry like small bits of change nowadays.
When asked about if that could happen, a spokesperson for the Royal Canadian Mint said he could not comment on the future of any coin denomination.
According to the Bank of Canada, cash is still king, and that includes coins. A 2024 survey found that Canadians kept an average of about $156 in cash on hand, $16 more than the previous year. Almost 80% of Canadians say they have no plans to go cashless. Tony.
Great story, Heather. It makes me realize how long it's been since I've seen that many coins in one place. Appreciate it, CTV's Heather Centerin. All right, we are going to head over to Alex now for a check on our weather.
All right. Well, partly cloudy as we get into the evening hours. Expected to clear out, though, closer to overnight with winds becoming nice and light. I'll let you know how things are looking first thing in the morning and wake up weather coming up after the break. Stick around for some great entertainment for your Thursday night at 7 o'clock. It's E-Talk before Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Then at 8, Hell's Kitchen, before 911 Nashville, then at 10, Grey's Anatomy.
Tonight, a Canadian man behind bars because of a W5 investigation now faces 60 charges. But his ex-wife wants to know why police haven't acted on a disturbing drugging incident involving their young daughter.
It's not a coincidence that she was drugged while she was in his care.
W5 reveals the evidence piling up against a man accused of drugging and sexually assaulting more than a dozen women. Tonight on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
Leanne's back with a look at a story our team is following tonight. Leanne?
Tony, Waterloo Regional Police are asking the public for their help in their search for a missing woman. The 52-year-old was last seen in the Kingsdale area of Kitchener on Tuesday. You can find her photo on our website. Also, a jewelry store in Stratford once again targeted by thieves. Police say they received numerous 911 calls before 5 p.m. They asked people avoid the area near Paris Jewelers at the Stratford Mall on Ontario Street. We'll follow these developments heading into the evening. Tony.
Okay, Leanne, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Alex is here with our wake up weather for Friday morning. Are we going to have anything to look forward to tomorrow morning?
Not too bad.
Yeah?
Maybe a little bit of sunshine.
Oh.
Take a look at that, hopefully.
Don't mind those graphics?
Don't mind it at all. So by 6, we're going to be under some partly cloudy conditions. -1 again, our overnight low. As we get into after midnight tonight, but by 8, we should be seeing a little bit of sun peeking through the clouds. A mix of sun and cloud expected for pretty much most of the morning. And overall, looking like a pretty good day, because Saturday, getting into Sunday as well, that's when we could see a little bit of rain, possibly some mixing, as we saw a bit before.
And finally tonight, one of the most spectacular examples of Renaissance illuminated manuscripts now on public display. This Bible was unveiled today in the Italian Senate, where it's going to remain on display until January 16th. It was created between 1455 and 1461. Wow. It's considered one of the highest expressions of miniature art.
That's amazing. So the Italian Culture Ministry says that it combines sacred value, historic prevalence, precious materials, and refined aesthetics. The display is part of the Vatican's Holy Year celebrations. I'm sure just to even be in that presence is pretty incredible.
It's incredible. And speaking of, historic things, nostalgic things, Heather's story was reminding me, I think I still have a roll of pennies at home somewhere.
We might all somewhere.
And I think I still have the first dollar bill that I earned on my paper route. Very shortly before dollar bills disappeared.
I was going to say, it might be worth something, but I don't know if you want to give that up. That might be,
Not to look into it. I'm going to hold on to it for now, though. Thanks for watching. Krista Simpson is here with your next news at 11:30. Good night.
Take care.